Aleph Bey. Shammai says Kala is due for one cow. But sorry, gotta let these animals out. All right, come on, guys. Here you go. Okay, go on. Go ahead. Yeah, that's right. All right, sorry about that.
No worries.
Shammai says Kala is due from one cow, but Hillel says from two cows. And the Chachamim say neither in accordance with the words of this one nor in accordance with the words of this one. Rather, a cow and a half is liable to Kala. And when the units were increased, they said 5 Revayim are subject to Kala, and Rabbi Moshe says 5 Revayim are exempt, 5 plus are liable. Hillel says a full hin of drawn water disqualifies a mikveh that is incomplete. Hillel chose the above wording only because the person is required to speak in the language of his teacher. Rabbi Shammai says 9 cows, and the Chachamim say neither in accordance with the words of this one nor in accordance with the words of that one. Rather, the matter was in dispute until 2 weavers came from the dung gate of Yerushalayim, and they testified in the name of Shammai and Talion that the 3 lugim of drawn water disqualify a mikvah, but the sages upheld their words. And why do we mention the words of Shammai and Hillel for nothing? In order to teach future generations that a person should not stand by his opinion, for even the patriarchs of the world did not stand by their words.
Okay. And similarly, we asked the question as a follow-on to as a general follow-on question. Lama mazkirin divrei hayachid bein hamarubim? Like, why do we bother in Mishna mentioning the minority opinions? Why not just say with the halakha and be done with it? Mm-hmm. Okay, because it's possible that a beis din will look at one of the minority opinions and rely on it, because sometimes you have circumstances that demand that you need to rely on a more lenient opinion, and therefore we record the minority opinions so that we have that. This is one of the things that I learned a lot in halacha, when particularly when I was doing my Isur Heter smicha, is that it's important to know all the opinions, because one of the first questions you're going to be asking the people after you've settled out what's the case. Like, okay, sometimes you've got questions like, is this going to be a hefsid merubah? Is it going to fall as in a big loss? So you kind of like, you're subtly asking, how's business, how you're doing, are you managing to get by and whatever. And if you find that that this is a person who's financially hard up, then you turn over every stone to find a heter for the person if they're going to have a loss of money. So that's and that's where it's very useful to have other opinions recorded that you can rely on. She'en based in Yakul Levatel divrei based in Chavero ad sheyeh gadol mimenu b'chokma of a minion. So no based in can annul the words of a fellow based in unless it is greater in wisdom or in numbers. Now, greater in wisdom means it's got greater Talmud Chachamim. What does greater in number mean? Since all the Beit Din have got the same number of judges in them, so that's an interesting discussion, which is mentioned over here. Is how many Talmidim accepted the judgment of the Beit Din. So if you have something, so you could have a greater number. Obviously it's the same number of people on the Beit Din, but it is accepted more broadly than a previous ruling. So now that's if you have a Beit Din wanting to reverse itself. What's the context over here? As far as I understood it, is that you can't overturn the words of something that somebody has said, but what you can do is rely on the opinion of somebody who's a contemporary and equal in stature. Mm-hmm. So that's why we have the recording of the Divrei Yachid Bein HaMerubim. It's got to be both. You've got to have both aspects in the Beit Din if it's going to overturn a previous ruling. It's not good enough that it's greater in wisdom but not in number, or in number but not in wisdom. And you need to have so it needs to be stronger in both aspects of or the wisdom and the number of um, the number of people who have accepted this opinion. Mishna Vav. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Im Kain, Lama Maskirin Dibra Yachid Bein Amarubim Lavatala. Okay, so again, why? So he's asking the same question as the previous Mishnah, basically. Why do we mention the minority opinions if we're going to ignore it anyway? She'im Yomar Adam Kach Ani Mekubal. So if somebody says, "Look, I've got a Masorah that this is the halacha," Yomar Lo, Kedivra Ish Ploni Shamata. So you've heard like Rabbi Meir, you've heard like whoever the minority opinion is, and that's fine. So yes, we've heard that's your opinion. Nonetheless, that's minority opinion, and it helps us to understand where his halacha comes from. And there's the fascinating case which I think we're going to learn in this Masechta of Rabbi Akashia, I think was it Akavia ben Mahalalel, who had a machlokes with the Chachamim because on a certain point, and he was adamant that this was the halacha, and they said to him, like, we'll make you the Av Beis Din if you're a can. He says, I cannot a can. I'm never going to. This is what I learned, and I believe that this is this was the majority opinion. They've got a different Masorah. So, and then when he died, he instructed his son, you have to follow the ruling of the Chachamim.
I remember that.
Yeah. So what are you talking about? So why didn't you follow the ruling of the Chachamim? Why? Because I heard it from people that I believed were the majority, and so I stick with my opinion. You are only hearing it from me. I'm the minority. You've got to listen to the other Chachamim. Anyway, Beis Shammai Omrim Rova Atzamos Min Ha'atzamim Bein Mishnayim Bein Mishlosha. So returning to subject of Machlokas between after we're talking about Hillel and Shammai themselves, now we're talking about Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai. Mm-hmm. And we're talking about the amount of bone that makes that creates tumas or hell. Now we know that a barley corn-sized piece of bone is enough to be matame, but not in an orhel. So that's the halacha of a base of pras. Remember, a grave that was plowed over. So now it creates tumah, but it doesn't create tumas or hell. But that's because there's a concern of touching, not of being inside an orhel. Okay. So now, how much bone is required for bones to create tumas orhel is a roba hakav. So it's a quarter kav, which is not a huge amount. We said a kav was about 2 liters. Is that right?
I think we said that. Yeah.
Okay. So we're talking about half a liter of bone. Okay. Bein Mishnayim Bein Mishlosha. So Beis Shammai says it doesn't matter whether these are from one skeleton or from multiple skeletons. It all creates the same tumas or hell. Beis Hillel Omrim Rova Atzamos Min Hagavia. No, it must be all of the bones must come from one corpse. If it's a rova that comes from 2 separate corpses, that's not enough to create tumas or hell. Meirov habinyan or meirov haminyan, and it must be from the majority of the person's size. So the meirov habinyan is two thigh bones and two tibias and two tibias and one tibia, right? The thigh bone is the tibia, right?
I don't know. Is it? I don't know.
Okay, so basically, two shin bones and one thigh bone makes up already a majority of a person's size. So therefore, that would be the measure to be rova binyan, and rova minyan is 125 small bones because 248 bones according to the Talmudic count, which is not exactly the anatomical count, but we can reconcile that later. The fact is that once you've got 125, that's half of 250, that's already a majority of the 248.
This says over here that Beis Shammai also requires that the bones be in the quarter cob, from the major bones of the skeleton. When they speak of 2 or 3 bones, so this refers to the 2 bones of the 2 thigh bones, and 3 refers to the bones of the lower legs plus 1 thigh bone.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right. Okay. That's kind of what we're saying. Meirav Binyan or Meirav Binyan. Okay. So Beis Hillel are saying that it's got to be either one of those 2 facts. So you can have in order to create the Tumas Ohel, it's got to be either so that Rov Akav has got to consist of Rov Minyan or Rov Binyan. If it doesn't, then it still doesn't create the Tumas Ohel. And if it's too small, it also oh wait, may Rov Minyan or Binyan? Just a second. Certain Beis Hillel Rov Binyan Aguf or Rov Binyan Ivarim. So even if there's not a rova, so there's the rova minyan and rova binyan is even if there's not a rova kav of bone. So you could have, for example, a miscarried fetus, which is very small,
right?
And you take if you took the bones together, it wouldn't make up a quarter kav, but nonetheless, that's you've got a rov minyan or a rov binyan in there or both. So that still would produce Tumas Ohel. Shammai Omer afilu me'etzem echad, and Shammai himself says he says even if the Rov Akav comes from a single bone, so you could have one very large person who's got a Rov Akav of 1 bone, that would be also create Tumas Ohel, and the halacha follows Beis Hillel.
This is a little confusing if you read the commentaries here, but the bones and the body and which bodies are talking about, which bones.
Yeah.
It's the big thing over here. It says that some of these bones, the Beis Hillel says, must come from I can't read this word, it's too small. Looks like Gimel Vav Yud Hey.
Kaviyah.
Yeah. Meaning from the essential body refers to the head, the trunk, the thighs. These are essential for life. The lower legs and the arms are not essential for life, but as evidenced by amputees. Accordingly, when Beis Hillel speaks of Rov Minyan, they refer to numerical majority of bones found in this essential body, such as the hips, the small ribs, and the shoulders. These bones are small by nature and thus cannot be considered Rov Minyan and majority of the structure. So it just goes on and on about the numbers, but confusing. Your explanation is better.
All right. So let's go back to Shavuos. Base.
Okay, I have a mana in your possession. And he replied before witnesses, yes. On the next day, when he said to him, give it to me, the other replied, I gave it to you. And he is exempt. If he replied, you have nothing in my possession, he is liable. I have a mana in your possession. And he replied, yes, to which the other responded, do not give it to me except before witnesses. On the next day, when he said to him, give it to me, the other replied, I gave it to you. He is liable because he is required to give it to him with witnesses. I have a liter of gold in your possession. And the other replies, you have in my possession only a liter of silver. He is exempt. But if he claims, I have a dinner of gold in your possession, and the other replies, you have in my possession only a dinner of silver or a trissus or a pinyon or a pruta, he is liable because all coins are of one type. I have a core of grain in your possession, and the other replies, you have in my possession only a less of beans. He is exempt. But if he claims, I have a core of produce in your possession, and the other replies, you have in my possession only a dish of beans, he is liable since beans are included in produce. If he claimed from him wheat and he admitted to him barley, he is exempt, but Rabbi Gamliel declares him liable. If one complains jars of oil from another and he admits to him the jars, Admin says since he has admitted to him a part of the kind of the claim, he must swear. But if the comments say the admission is not for the kind of the claim, said Rabbi Gamliel, I see Admin's view. If he claimed from him utensils and land, and he admitted the utensils but denied the land, for he admitted the land and denied the utensils, he is exempt. Where he admitted part of the land, he is exempt. Part of the utensils, he is liable, because property which cannot have a lien on them causes one to swear concerning property which can have a lien on them. There is no oath in response to the claim of a deaf, mute, and mentally deranged person or a minor, and we cannot impose an oath on a minor, but one swears to a minor and about consecrated property.
Okay. Sanhedrin. Just hey.
Sanhedrin. Hey. Someone who was flogged twice is placed by the court in a cell where he is fed barley until the stomach bursts. Someone who murders without witnesses to that effect is placed in a cell where he is fed spare bread and scant water. One who steals a service vessel blasphemies by a supernatural force or cohabitates with a Gentile woman, zealots may smite him. And something happened. Okay. All Israel has a share in the world to come, as it is stated, and your people are all righteous, they shall inherit the land forever. The branch of my plantings, the work of my hands to be glorified. These are the ones who have no share in the world to come, who says there is no basis for the resurrection of the Torah. But one who says that the Torah is not from heaven and in Apocoris. Rabbi Akiva says also one who reads external books. And one who whispers over a wound and says, all the diseases which I have placed upon Egypt, I shall not place upon you, because I am Hashem your healer. Abba Shaul says, also one who uttered the name according to its letters. Excuse me. 3 kings and 4 commoners.
Eliezer, I think you skipped a page in the middle. you went. I think you went straight from the last mission in Tess and jumped into yeah, because I suddenly found you in the middle of Caleb, and I was trying to catch up to you there.
I said that was Vav. That I missed Tess Vav. One who steals a service vessel, blasphemes by a supernatural force, or cohabitates with a Gentile woman, zealots may smite him. If a Kohen serves Baltame, his brother Kohanim does not bring him to court, rather the young Kohanim remove him from the courtyard and split his skull with clubs. A non-Kohen who serves in the temple, when Rabbi Akiva says he is executed by strangulation, but the comments say by the hand of heaven. Okay. That's it.
And then you read the Kol Yisrael Yeshlehem. All Israel has a chelik and olam haba. You read.
Right, that I did. Right.
Okay. So okay. Right. Yeah. Yes, Dalet Baba Kama.
Okay. Hey.
Dalet.
I'm sorry?
Dalet.
Dalet?
Yeah.
All right. It is inadvisable to clash with a deaf, mute, a dentally deranged person or a minor, or if one wounds them, he is liable. But if they wounded others, they are exempt. It is inadvisable to clash with a slave or with a woman. If one wounds them, he is liable. But if they wound others, they are exempt, although they must pay later. Should the woman become a divorce or the slave freed, they are obligated to pay. If one strikes his fellow or his mother and inflicts a wound upon them, or if one wounds another on the Sabbath, then is exempt from all of them. He is exempt from all of them because he is liable for his life. If one wounds his own Gentile slave, he is exempt from all of them. If one cuffs another, he must give him a selah. Rabbi Yehuda says in the name of Rabbi Yossi the Galil, a mana. If he slaps them, he must give him 200 zuz. With the back of his hand, he must give him 400 zuz. And if he pulls his ear, tears his hair, spits at him, and spittle reaches him, removes his cloak, or uncovers a woman's hair in the street, he must pay 400 zuz. This is the general rule. It all depends on his covenant. Says Rabbi Akiva, even if the poorest of Jews are looked upon as though they were sons of noblemen who lost their wealth, for they are the children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. There was an incident of one who uncovered a woman's hair in the street. She came before Rabbi Akiva, who sentenced him to give her 400 zuz. Said he to him, Rabbi, give me time. And he gave him time. He waited for her until she saw her standing at the entrance of her courtyard, and then broke a jug which contained oil worth an isser in her presence. She uncovered her head, and was scooping it up and placing it in her hand on her head. He set up witnesses against her and came before Rabbi Akiva and said he to him, Rabbi, to this one I should give 400 zuz. I said to him, you have said nothing, because if one wounds himself, though he may not, he is exempt. Yet if others wound him, they are liable. And if one cuts off his own shoots, though he may not, he is exempt. Yet others cut off his shoots, they are liable.
Yeah. Okay, Masechus Megillah.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go. The Megillah may be read on the 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th day of Adar, but never earlier than later, nor later. Cities that were surrounded by walls at the time of Yeshua, son of Nun, read on the 15th. Village and large towns read on the 14th. However, villages sometimes advance their reading up to the day of entry, meaning the market time, in the towns. How is it possible? If the 14th of Adar fell on a Monday, villages and large towns read on that very day, and walled cities read on the next day. If it fell on a Tuesday or Wednesday, villages advanced their reading to the day of entry. Large towns read on that very day, and walled cities read on the next day. If it fell on a Thursday, villages and large towns read on that very day, and walled cities read on the next day. If it fell on the eve of Shabbos, villages advanced their reading to the day of entry. Large towns and walled cities read on that very day. If it fell on the Sabbath, villages and large towns advanced their reading to the day of entry. Walled cities read the next day. If it fell after the Sabbath, villages advanced their reading to the day of entry. And large towns read on that very day. Walled cities read on the very next day. What is considered a large town? Any in which there are 10 unoccupied men. If there were fewer than that, it is considered a village. As regards these times, they said to advance rather than postpone. But the time of the wood offering of the Kohanim, the fast of Tisha B'Av, the festival of sacrifice, and the assembly are postponed and not advanced. Even though that the sages said to advance the reading rather than postpone, eulogies, fasts, and gifts to the poor are permitted on the earlier dates. Rabbi Yehuda said, when may the reading be advanced? In a place where they may enter the towns on Monday and Thursday. However, in a place where they do not enter the towns on Monday and Thursday, and they may be read only on the proper date.
Hey, Demai.
If I mean, since I live here, obviously we don't in Beit Shemesh, we don't celebrate Shushan Purim.
Right.
If I was going to, did Shushan Purim apply also in America if there were walled cities?
No, there's no such thing in America. The walled cities thing only applies in Eretz Israel.
That's what I thought. Because I thought if I was going there and there was Shushan Purim and they were observing things, would I have to observe Shushan Purim?
No, you don't. That's one of those things that you keep different. You can be different from year to year. If you decide to spend Purim in Yerushalayim, then you keep it like people in Yerushalayim. It's not something that you've got to keep your local minhag. You keep the minhag of the makom that you're in.
Right. Okay. All right, Demai. We have here we are, a priest or a Levite who leaves from an Israelite, just as they share the chulin, though they also share the truma. Rabbi Eliezer says that Maserot also belongs to them, for they came on that condition. If an Israelite leaves from a priest or from a Levite, the Masorite belong to the landowner. Rabbi Yishmael says if a provincial leaves from a Yisraelite, and he belongs to the to the Jerusalem guy. But the sages say the provincial can go up and eat in Jerusalem. I see you laughing. Okay. Okay. If one leases olive trees for oil, just as they share the chulam, they also share the truma. Rabbi Yehuda says if an Israelite leases from the priest or from Levite olive trees for oil to share half the proceeds, the Masorite belongs to the owners. Okay. There's some words I just can't get out, no matter what. They're just okay. The following utensils protect with a steel cover: dung utensils, stone utensils, clay utensils, earthenware utensils, nesser utensils, bones of fish or of its skin, bones of a sea creature or its skin, and wooden utensils that are tahor. They protect both their mouths and from their sides, and whether they are resting on their bases or tilted on their sides. If they were turned over upon their mouths, they protect all that is beneath them down to the depths. Eliezer rules of tahor. These utensils protect all things except for an earthenware utensil, which only protects foodstuff and earthenware vessels. With what may we surround the utensil? With plaster or with gypsum, with pitch or with wax, with mud or excrement, with mortar or with crushed shards, or with any substance that can be smooth. We may not surround the utensil with tin or with lead, since they cover but do not seal. We may not surround the utensil with a fat pressed fig, or with dough kneaded with fruit juice. so that it does not come to be disqualified, but if one did surround it with food, it has protected the utensil. Regarding the stopper of a barrel that is loose but does not fall off, Rabbi Yehuda said it protects, but if you come and say it does not protect. And if its finger hole is sunk into the barrel, when the sheretz is inside it, the barrel is tummy. When the sheretz is in the barrel, the food inside the finger breath is tummy. Okay.
Therefore.
Okay.
All right.
A terrific day. Tomorrow, I suppose you're going to be free.
Yeah, good chance.
Very good chance. So
Okay.
I'll just put it on when I see you coming back. That's on the
Okay.
Have a great day. Thank you so much. Speak well. Bye.
Bye.